Hello guys, and welcome to a new Star Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 3 versus 3 on Zbuczyn, and I'm going to be using the 15th Scots on the Allied side. I thought it had been a while since I had covered the 15th Scots on the channel, particularly in a gameplay video, so I decided that this replay would do the job, and it was a fun replay with lots to point out, so let's get into it. I'm going to quickly go through what I put down. So I've got a bunch of Assault Pioneers. I actually placed down 8 Assault Pioneers at the start. These are 4-man flamer teams that do come in with the Jeep, so great for the 50-50 engagements, and then are going to be backed up by the assault, or the engineer leaders, sorry, which do have their own close-range HE grenade. But basically there to provide a little bit of extra veterancy for those early on engagements, and yeah, just make my units more effective than the enemy. The Assault Pioneer is going to be great also for just dealing with any like 2-man flamer squads, because they're going to outman them. Got some Vickers HMGs on the left with the Scout with Piet, Churchill 4, Churchill 5, and then on the right we've got some rifles spreading out with the Bofors and the 6-pounder Scouts with Piet, and also the Sniper and a Churchill 4 further back. But at the start, Monsieur going to be pushing into the town pretty heavily with his own infantry. He is playing with the 1st Blindata. I'm going to be dropping my 2 Assault Pioneers here, going to be killing off the Kubel, going to be able to get that transport as well, so I've got 2 transports. His Schneider's going to pick off my rifle squad, so that was unfortunate, but able to get flames down onto the Venatore Moto, going to be able to pin them down, and I'm looking for the surrender there, and I managed to find it. So a decent engagement in the middle. On the left, my 1 Assault Pioneer unit does get taken out, unfortunately. I do arrive with the Vickers HMG and the Scouts and the Universal Carrier, so I'm hoping that that can maybe return the favour with the pin, but the double machine gun from the Venatore Moto managing to pin the Vickers quite easily in the open. Meanwhile, on the right hand side, one of my units does go down. I believe that was another rifle squad. And that was unfortunate because players moved in a couple of Baverdongs here, well, quite a few Baverdongs, and my rifle is already getting overwhelmed as it is. Assault Pioneer squad, as much as that is useful in the close range, is not really going to be able to kill like over 40 men on its own with only 4 men. It's going to die. So I'm basically trying to smoke off the rifles, get them back so that I can team these guys up together in order to at least maybe engage 1 squad at a time if I can micro it properly. But Scout's going to be caught out in the open there. My Vickers HMG team's really not doing too great. The one on the left's already dead. These ones in the open are getting picked off by the T4. My unit goes down over here. The Assault Pioneers, the rifle's going to swiftly follow. 6-pounder does take out the Sturg. Yeah, very messy engagement early on. 6-pounder in the back garden, going to be able to get a T4 kill at least. So that was good. T4s are basically Panzer IVs that have heat as well. And are Romanian instead of German, of course. The Churchill 4 managing to get a bailout though on the Stu 42. That's a nice kill for me. 6-pounder does go down on the right hand side. So yeah, a very, very quick initial engagement. I didn't expect to have to deal with player here, but I did pick off a lot of armoured units, so that was good for me. You know, the Churchill taking out the Stu 42, that's quite a nice unit for me to pick off. I'm taking out the T4, we took out the Stug on the right. Yeah, we lost a few infantry units and support units here and there, but overall we had a pretty good trade. And one thing that I have done since this game is I've changed my Vickers HMGs to be in Jeeps instead of the Lloyd carriers. And one thing I will say to newer players is when you're creating decks, make sure to check the transports, because that's basically what caught me out, is that when I put the HMG in my deck, it was auto given the Lloyd carrier instead of the Jeep, which I had to then manually put in. And my Bofors here trying to stop the Ju-87 from getting the kill, but unfortunately the Ju-87 comes through and manages to get it. So that was unfortunate for me. Monsieur taking advantage of the low amount of AA in the early game to get through with the Ju-87. If that was 2 Bofors, that Ju-87 would be dead, no problem. 6-pounder, I attack moved it forwards to try and get line of sight down this road, but ended up getting hit by the Stu 42 and the MG34 here. Snipers trying to help out from this building, but getting suppressed as well. On the left-hand side, meanwhile, Venatore Moto Pianeri are going to be engaging my engineer leader. 6-pounder finally goes down, but now I'm doing a little micro push here with my assault engineers. So these were all kind of stuck in the cover here and not really able to advance, but they have like 3 or 4 smoke grenades each, so I just created a manual smoke wall using the hotkey, which is B, in order to like place the smoke and then advance into the buildings next to the MG, next to the infantry, so that I can then get the smoke on target. Musio is going to see this coming and start moving his MG34 out of the way because he knows exactly what I'm up to here. Unfortunately, too smart for me. Funatorimoto do stay, but are going to get absolutely melted by the sheer amount of flamethrower rounds coming their way. I do lose the sniper back here, and on the left, obviously, the engineer leader died. So things not really going too great, actually, in the middle after the consecutive engagements. Like, the initial engagements were really, really good, but like every engagement that followed was just awful for me, other than maybe my little smoke play here. But this isn't really going to last long. This is so temporary, mainly because it's just not sustainable. I'm going to run out of smoke and I don't have any mortars or anything to keep smoking, and as soon as the smoke disappears, all of the units get their MGs on ammo, or their MGs on target, and you can see it just rips my squads to pieces when they're out in the open. More rounds going to be coming into the smoke as well, going to kill off the leader, so they're even more vulnerable because they don't have that vulnerability helping them out. Yeah, it's really bad. So what can I do about this? Well, I've just got to start building up the Churchills and just try and make a push back. I've got the rifles, of course, that can come in and screen my armour. But the main play for me here as the 15th Scots player is literally just timing. It's all about timing. Making sure that when I make my pushes, it's when my Churchills arrive. Because if I push before, then everything dies before the Churchill arrives, and then the Churchill arrives and dies as well. And that is a big mistake that I see people do when they are using divisions with particularly slow tanks. Now, the 15th Scots is probably the most extreme version of that, because you have such slow tanks. Like, these only have 19 kilometers per hour off-road speed, 24 kilometers per hour on-road speed, which is really bad. If you compare that to like the trucks that I bring in my infantry in, they're going 80 kilometers per hour, so they are almost 4 times faster than my Churchill. And that means that the rate at which your units come in is different, and it causes you to get out of sync, and then you end up taking more losses because of that. Anyway, 17 pounder here, using my range advantage against the Stoke 3 to get shots on before I get too close, and nice shots coming through from the 17 pounder, gets the job done. Unfortunately, my assault pioneers eventually get taken out. Universal carrier still providing a Bren fire, but honestly, Brens in vehicles are so bad. I mean, Brens on infantry are bad enough, but Brens in vehicles, yeah, you can see that's doing absolutely zero suppression and to that Pioneer squad in heavy cover. The Besa, however, is actually pretty good, so I just need to get my Churchill close enough that it can put its machine guns on target, and that will start to do damage and start pinning down the enemy infantry squads. Like, they're better. They're not as good as like an MG34 in a tank, for example, but they will do at least some damage, so that is something. My Churchill 5, I moved that up to this area so that I can start to chip any infantry with HE fire. Rifles currently just being shot at, probably should have fallen them back. I've also got rifles here that are falling back. These rifles, they're in the swamp. They are there to put pressure on this flag and stop us being at a disadvantage. Feel like I've done a good job on the right hand side. This map is actually relatively unbalanced, I would say, because of this hill, but then again, I believe the blue side gets a little bit of a better flag placement on the top side, so it's not as bad. But yeah, either way, I've been kind of pushed out of the town for the time being, and this flag should be ours, so we should be at a 13 to 12 or 13 to 11, but I'm currently letting the team down, so trying to get into position here. My Churchill turning to fire at the Panzer IV. Musial, with his 3-star Panzer IV, managed to get 2 shots off before my Churchill even fired. It was really bad. The worst part was that Panzer IV was already damaged from the initial engagements earlier, so only 1 Churchill shot would have needed to be put on target, and I would have got the kill. So it's kind of sad. Anyway, rifles go down to the MG34. I do manage to kill off the Schneider on the right in the meantime with the Churchill 5. But another Churchill on the way. This one a little bit better. I've also got my mortars set up back here. Well, just waiting to unload them. But this is the Churchill 7, so this thing has 150mm of frontal armour. It is a beast. And against the Panzer IV with only 135mm of frontal armour at range, this thing will be able to kill a Panzer IV nicely. At closer ranges though, the Panzer IV and even the Stugs can get decent shots on target. I managed to kill another Stug here. The 17-pounder really doing a great job for me. Kills the Stug 3 Führer. Takes away the extra veterancy from the other Stug 3. I've also brought up a Churchill 5 up on this hill. That's going to be providing great 2,000 meter fire support onto the enemy MG squads. So he's got two of these MG42 squads, and I managed to get the 17-pounder out of line of sight of one of them quickly enough, so that was good. Musil going to be trying to bring up the Stug 42 to get his heat round on target of the Churchill 5. If he does get it on target, the Churchill 5 is pretty much guaranteed to die. So I do need to make sure that I back off an engagement and utilise the maximum range that the Churchill has, so I'm moving back really quite far here. And in-game I would have used the tool to make sure I knew how much I could move back. I do have two Bofors now on the field, so you can see the Ju-87 really not getting anywhere. Also the IAR getting forced back with a pilot injure. I'm going to get a little bit of help here from Krakow, which was nice. He was obviously holding the hill here on the right hand side nicely, so bringing up the extra troops to help me I was very thankful for that. Ju-188 does go down to my Bofors, so that was a nice kill for me there. Just need to get the rifles forwards and secure that flag, and then with this flag as well we're going to be at 13 to 11. The universal carrier is still firing away, doing absolutely nothing. The main thing that's good about a universal carrier in this situation is it provides the recon. But even though like the Venatori-Moto and the Pionieri aren't firing here, we're still be able to see them. And that allows other units to engage them, if not the universal carrier. Greda, really nice position up on the hill. Very similar sort of position to my Churchill here. Providing nice HE 2,000 meter range fire support onto these engagements. So I'm going to bring up some more rifles, and I've also got the 17-pounder. 17-pounder was being brought up to this light cover so that I could push it through and then cover this road. Like if it's far enough to the left, it can cover this road. It could also cover this road, but I don't want to get it too close to the MGs, although the MGs in this case would be out of range. The other thing I've got to be careful of course, is the Greda, which could fire position it. But Krakow now coming in clutch with some off-map as well, which is going to be really good timing for my rifles arriving and attack moving towards the enemy. So Churchill going to be pushing up. I'm using a quick hunt order here so that I can get more speed out of my Churchill, because if I like attack move, it's going to be really slow. So yeah. Anyway, off map's going to come down. It's going to hit nicely. There is a mortar here. There's also AA. So that's going to hit well. Takes out the Hotchkiss. I believe it probably took out the mortar as well. Remove some of the fire support that I've got to deal with. T-34 also going to be getting a good shot on target with the crew panic. And I'm just going to be piling in more and more rifles now. I've got the Dingo coming up for the commander. And then I've got an artillery commander that's going to be giving my veterancy to the Rifles of Piet. And in my deck, I have the Rifles of Piet with one vet, which means when they get the leader, which is connected to the commander, I'm going to have 3 vet. And that's going to be super important for these infantry engagements, because he's currently not using leaders as much. Like he's got his Panzer III leveled up to 3 vet here, but his Venatori-Moto, they're only 1 vet with the leader nearby at the moment. So if I can get my Rifles of Piet to 3 vet, I'm going to be able to get some really good engagements going. And that was the plan. I'm just making sure that the Stug doesn't randomly shoot one of my transports. And my artillery commander is now providing that veterancy, as you can see. So all these rifles are going to be doing a lot of damage now, even to units that are in heavy cover. And the Venatori-Moto slowly but surely getting chipped down. Grela coming in with a really nice hit there onto the rifles though, so still difficult for me to deal with. Double Ju-87 coming in on the left hand side. I've only got 1 Bofors to cover that one at the start. Yeah, I can get my second one firing as they've already dropped their payload, but it is going to force the Churchill 7 back, and with that done, the TA here, which is a Stug, and the Panzer IV are going to be able to engage the Churchill. I do end up shooting down one of the J-87s, but I am going to lose the Churchill 7 to the Panzer IV. I also lost the Churchill 5 here because I wasn't paying attention, but the Churchill 5 ended up trading back with the damaged T4, so I wasn't as sad about that, but I do have a limited amount of Churchill 5s, and Churchill 5s are really useful for that long-range fire support. Rifles appear, getting some fantastic hits in here onto the Venatore Moto, chipping them down really, really well. Like, this is a fantastic engagement for a 3-star, where you have like heavy to light range, light cover engagements. I am also being engaged by this one on the right though, which is starting to pin my unit a little bit, so it's not as effective as it otherwise would be. We've got 2 rifles on target here, I've got 2 rifles on target here. I've got my assault pioneers that are going to be pushing up and putting some flames on target, so that's doing really, really well for us, but nasty little attack there does kill my assault pioneer. That might have been the 25 mo actually that did the job. JRS going to be coming in with a bombing strike, does kill off some of the rifles. Also a rocket strike coming in as well. It's going to be a Nebelwerfer. Yeah, not great. Rifles go down. I lost 2 squads in the end. Not the end of the world, but definitely hampering my push. So now it's time for the Churchills, or the Crocodiles, to arrive. And you saw normal Churchills were slow, while these are even slower. They got the 19 km/h, 24 km/h. Like, I think the Churchill 4s... Oh no, they're the same speed, never mind. I thought these were slightly slower. Anyway, Crocodile moving up. The only difference really between a Crocodile and a Churchill 7 is that the Crocodile has the heavy flamethrower, so it has 1 less machine gun, but it's got a flamethrower instead. The flamethrower is really not the reason that you bring it. The reason you bring it is it's because it's got a lot of front armor, and it's basically, in this case, a replacement for the Churchill 7 that I'd already lost. And I decided to bring in 2 because, again, it's all about timing. So I'm bringing in all of my Churchills first. I've got the 2 Crocodiles, I've got the Churchill 7, and they're going to be slowly but surely moving towards the front line. And then as they arrive, that's when all my rifles can come up and back them up. And that's when I can start to make ground. Because at the moment, all my infantry is just being slapped by armor that I don't have anything to deal with it. Whereas something like a Churchill 4 does have the APCR that can penetrate pretty much anything. Like, even can penetrate the heaviest of tanks, like Tigers and Panthers. Yeah, it's going to take like 4 shots to kill a Tiger, but it's still able to kill a Tiger. Typhoon coming in with a little bombing strike here. I was thinking that maybe we could put enough pressure onto this flag to try and take it if I pinned down whatever was holding it, but the unit that's holding it is most likely either here or further in this tree line. So the bombing didn't quite do the job. Anyway, 17 pounder finally comes up clutch here, kills the Panzer IV in the open there. Unfortunately, Stug fires and leaves some flames on the ground. Sometimes this happens when tanks fire, and it forces my 17 pounder to move, which is really bad. Smoke does come down in front of the TA. It's kind of Musial doing that to try and save himself from the 17 pounder, but was honestly just going to kill it. So it's lucky for me that he did do that. But this was unlucky for me. The TA yet able to penetrate, but gets the crew panic of all things, and I'm not able to trade into the Stug even on that side. So things are pretty rough for me. Jag's doing a good job on the left hand side. He has managed to capture the offensive flag there. And we are still holding this flag, so it's giving us that advantage. Krakow's still coming in with more of the Avtos. And I will say that his support here was definitely needed, because I was kind of being chipped on the right hand side at the start by player. And then Musial is, of course, like a decent player, so he's definitely putting me under a lot of pressure early on. I managed to get rid of the Grille. I believe the Grille was like maybe a little bit further over, but my 17 pounder just sniped it with the 2-star veterancy from the artillery commander. And this artillery commander is still alive, providing plenty of veterancy here, which is great. But yeah, with the loss of the Crocodile, I have of course brought up the Churchill 7. That's now going to be providing the same fire support. Also, rifles with Piat got close enough to the Stug there to kill it off, so that was really good. With the 3-star veterancy, you'd hope it would hit. I mean, they still only have 50% accuracy, so that veterancy only helping so much. Yeah, mortar's going to be firing away now onto the infantry to help pin it down. And this is another flag, mind you, so if we can grab that, it'd be 15-9, and we'd be in a really good spot. MMG carrier going to be helping out a little bit with the pin. It's not the Bren that does the pinning, it's the Vickers, but the Vickers, I guess, isn't that great either, to be honest. P2 is coming in with the bombing strikes, definitely helping out a little bit. But Stuv 42 going to be able to get some decent direct shots here onto the rifles of Piat. I was trying to run this rifles forwards to get the Piat on target, but didn't quite manage to get them far enough up. Rifles of Piat there. Going to pin down the Venatori Moto and kill them off though, so that's a nice kill. And we've got the mortar fire now coming in onto the Stug. Now this Stug, not quite damaged yet, but if I can get some shots onto it, pin it down a little bit, then my Churchill's going to have a better time of engaging it. But in this case, Churchill pulling off the road is going to put it in the wrong position to engage the Stug, so that didn't work out. Meanwhile though, Churchill 5 on the right, still claiming kills, which is good. And the Crocodile has got quite far up in the town. That was nice, managed to kill off another Venatori Moto, and it's just the grind right now. This is a classic Scots game, where it turns into the point where you have just lots and lots of infantry and lots of Churchills, and whenever you're getting low on Churchills, you just bring in more preemptively, and then even if they don't die, you just have more, and you just keep going like that. The only trouble is, because you're a very grindy division, it's very easy for your opponents to do the same, where they put off map on you, where they bomb you, where they well yeah, like do this for example, like the 4 bombers, and it just kills your infantry or your tanks and whatever over and over and over again. Now, I do manage to get my Churchill 7 far enough forwards to kill the Stug on the left, so that was nice. J87 does manage to get its shot off on, or its bombs off onto the Crocodile, but due to the suppression, the cluster's more like too spread out, so it's not going to get the kill. But the Ju-87 does get shot down, so that's another one taken care of. So it was okay. Churchill 5's providing good shots onto the Bevelongs here, also the T-34-85 engaging them. Hotchkiss under fire from my rifles, but the Hotchkiss kind of far enough away basically to not have to care. Managed to get a kill onto the Stuv 42 there. I believe that was the Churchill. Again, Ju-87 coming in, does manage to drop its payload, but again too spread out, and didn't get enough of it off in order to get the kill. Chichitash going down on the left there as well. I'm going to get hit by the Nebelwerfer again, but we've managed to claim this flag with Krakow's help. And I will say, without Krakow's help, this definitely would have been a lot harder, and I would have had to rely on this off-map a lot more. So I finally brought in off-map, my own off-map. The off-map you saw earlier was Krakow's. And this is another way that you can kind of make ground with the Scots, is you can rely on artillery, like the 25-pounder, or you can rely on off-map. And in this case, I'm just going to be using off-map to pin down an area, and then advance on it with the rifles, advance on it with the Churchills, and just continue the slow push. You see I've not got like 3 Churchill 4s, we've got the Churchill 5 here, we've got the Churchill 7 on the left and the Crocodile in the mid. There's quite a lot of armour, and then I've got pretty much the same amount of rifle squads. So I've got pretty much as many rifle squads as I've got Crocodiles, and I would say for the 15th Scots that's probably the balance you actually want to go for, because otherwise you end up in situations where, like I was talking about before, where you're kind of off balance with the 15th, and you have more infantry than you do tanks, and then the infantry gets taken off because you don't have enough armor to support, or vice versa. So Churchill, these are actually Churchill 6s, sorry, not Churchill 4s. I keep saying Churchill 4s because we have both Churchill 4s and Churchill 6s, so it's a bit confusing. Yeah, the Churchill 6 is the one with the APCR, and the Churchill 6 is the one with the HE and no APCR. The Churchill 6s, I think I have them in the late game, so we're into phase C now, and I've got quite a lot on a card, and the idea is that when they have full veterancy, they've got, you know, three vet, and that makes them relatively okay rate of fire. They're pretty trash, really. They're kind of just worse Shermans, but you do have, like, well, they are cheaper to make up for it, right? They're slow, so they're cheap, and they do technically have, I think, more front armor than a Sherman, so at least that's something. Here, Churchill 6 going to be engaging the Panzer IV. Like, in this engagement against the 1st Mandata, the Churchills are okay because the Panzer IVs don't really have much in the way of armor, so 90 mils of penetration is more than enough, and you can see the Churchill there able to get the better of the T4, which is basically the equivalent of a Panzer IV. The Churchill on the left, they're going to go down to the Reshica. We're still sitting on this 15 to 9. I'm a 17 pounder, able to get the shot all the way up the road here. That's why I had it in this position, so it could cover the road there. So I've got it basically on attack move order, in line with this road. It's basically about there in front of us. And I think in this case, like, if you press C, it doesn't really show it very well, so zooming in is how you would line that up and how I did it, I believe, at the time. And the reason I'm attack moving it forwards is just so that we get more accuracy the closer we get. Against the Panzer IVs and against the Stugs, it's probably not ideal, but it also helps you avoid artillery, so that's good. You know, there's the Noble Werfer basically overshooting there because I'm attack moving it forwards. IAR does get shot down. Artillery coming down on the left is definitely helping out deal with the Venatori Motor. Kills off the Reshica as well. That is Yag's F-22s back here, and also got some 81mm mortars. I've also got my own mortars firing away, which are using up some supply now. But yeah, more rifles, more Churchill 6s, just continuing to pile on the pressure, continue to build up the slow push. And every time we're getting low on something, I'm not being too aggressive. Like, I'm pushing a little bit. I'm basically just going to wait till my rifles arrive, and then the Churchills can push forwards again. And this is why the Brits lost so many men in these sort of engagements in World War II. Advance onto contact, man. With your Churchill supporting you, which are kind of crappy. Now the T4 going to be engaging the rifles here, killing them off, and that T4 does take care of my Churchill, so not ideal. One thing I do need to be worried about is the Churchill 6s only have 1,500 meter range engagement, so technically the T4s can outrange them and are still able to penetrate. But nice job by Krakow here to bring up the 45mm AT guns to support. And you see, when the Churchill 6 died, I replaced it with 2 more. And that's pretty much what you got to keep doing. One unit dies, you replace it with 2 more. It's like the Hydra situation. So rifles going to get pinned down the left hand side, coming under a lot of fire from the Venatori Motor. I probably shouldn't have had them advancing without my artillery commander, because it saves them from so much damage. Because they have more veterancy, they basically take less damage. That's how infantry works. It's funny how in Steel Division, like, veterancy affects different units in different ways. Like with tanks, it's like extra aim time, extra accuracy, extra rate of fire. With infantry, it's like the same, but it's also damage resistance. With aircraft, veterancy gives you like agility. It's interesting. It's actually interesting. But either way, still making the push here. The rifles continuing to push forwards, even under fire. Pioneer are pretty annoying to deal with at range because I do have an MG34. Also getting hit by the Flak 38. But more rifles on their way. More Churchills on their way. And we're now 17-7 as Krakow makes a push through with his Avtos. Rifles getting a little bit too low for my liking, so gonna have to fall them back. Churchill's still engaging the Venatori Moto. But Churchill's now pushing forwards even here on the right hand side with the rifles backing them up. Churchill 5 helping blast the infantry to pieces. And yeah, Krakow helping me in the town again was really, really helpful because, like, yes, players putting on pressure here, but Krakow's just like holding the hill and then helping me push here, which at the end of the day it was probably the correct tactical decision because it's like more flags to fight over here, and he was already in a good position on the right hand side, and every time players trying to push up on the far right, he's repelling him off the hill. So again, even more Churchills on the way. Like, I basically just kept bringing in Churchills, because the thing is with rifles is they're always going to get to the front line very quickly, but more and more Churchills, since they're going to get killed, need to be replaced. And yeah, sometimes it can even lead to you having like a really negative KD if you're focusing so heavily on armor and they're not managing to get the job done. But when they do manage to like be a hero, like in this case, the Churchill's just tanking all of these TACAMs and is able to, you know, kill them off as well. It's really, really good. It's just sitting there like tanking that in the front armor. Unfortunately now showing side armor. And it's gonna go down. So Churchill 5 there, even getting line of sight onto the Nebelwerfer, but the Rashids are going to be coming to the save the day. Almost killed it. Rifles engaging the last of the Venatori in the town. 17-pounders trying to engage the TACAM on the left. TACAMs though are pretty good against AT guns because they do have extra HE on their HE rounds. The 2.2 damage there. I managed to get one and decided to try and pull back the 17-pounder into the light cover. The 17-pounder is going to end up engaging instead, and I've also got the Churchill 6s now arriving, so that's going to help blunt that push. Again, more rifles coming in, more Churchills coming in. I could have been using my mortars a lot more. It's definitely something that I didn't do very well this game, but my off-map was kind of making up for that where I needed it to. And I believe it was probably quite frustrating for Musial to deal with the amount of off-map that you can bring in, particularly since it is quite powerful off-map, like 203mm. It's okay, especially if it hits the target, it can really do a lot of damage. Yeah, one of my Churchills is going to go down. Currently in a 2-on-1 situation, so Stug's going to fall back. Reshitsa on the hill though, still causing issues. This AT gun is so good, and I definitely should have mortared it way sooner, so that's on me. With 2 minutes left, artillery commander is going to be coming in to provide more veterancy. I was sending one over to the right hand side here to help out Krakow as well. And this is kind of awesome, always something you can do, is get your commands to help out your enemy if you, or help out your allies if you want. I think I actually ended up changing it because it was on this road already, and I didn't want it to like go back on itself to go over here, because I've got this engineer leader on the right hand side anyway that can give his guards and strafe and everything extra veterancy. With the extra veterancy, all of the infantry is just so much more effective. It's going to be way more resilient. It allows my Churchills more time to get up here. Got even more Churchills on the way. It's the Churchill show. Venatori Moto. Going to be able to win at close range. Like, they do have very nice submachine guns. Like, these have 60% accuracy. Whereas the, like... Let me see if I can find a normal rifle squad. The Stens only have 40% accuracy. So they are really bad, basically. Like, they have the same damage, but the accuracy makes all the difference, particularly at closer ranges, because it scales so much more, which means they just hit more. Also, the Venatori Moto have 2 automatic rifles, whereas like a standard rifle squad only has 1. And then if you're looking at like a rifle as a Piat, they don't even have submachine guns, so the Venatori Moto win every time. The Venatori Moto are just really, really nice, cost-effective infantry, although I believe they used to be 20 points and they got nerfed. Not sure. Anyway, building up even more units. Karakov is bringing up an IS-2 even to help out the push. But that is job done. 17-7. Gonna end the game there. And that's a minor victory after 35 minutes and 2 seconds. 3,310 kills to 2,340 losses. So we did end up getting the most kills in our team. But the support from Krakow, definitely very nice and very helpful. I did have to deal with a lot of these Stugs early on though. But the 6-pounder and the 17-pounder really coming up clutch on those Stug 3s. Like my 17-pounders in this game performed really well. Usually 17-pounders miss and then just get killed. But in the early game they can actually be quite effective because there's usually not too much artillery on the field or too many aircraft that might just like kill you really fast. Both are definitely helping out, shooting down plenty of aircraft. You see the 17-pounder on the left as well. Killed an 88 even in a transport. Killed the Puma, killed the Grilla, killed the Panzer IV. Killed loads of stuff with the mortars. Got the off-map kills. 25mm, Panzer IV, the Stug. Killed the mortar there as well. The mortar carriers, really, really important kills. More kills from player on the right-hand side. Particularly with like the Churchill 5 was doing a good job of kind of holding the open ground. And then on the left we got the Churchill kills there and more Churchill kills. Yeah, Churchill's all the way. It was great. It was just, again, a classic 15th Scots game that really allowed me to kind of show them off. The initial engagement with the Assault Pioneers could have gone better, but it was okay. Then we kind of got put on the back foot a little bit because it was kind of a bit spread out in the middle, and like Monsieur was like really concentrated in the town, so that was causing me to struggle a little bit. Then we kind of got back on our feet thanks to Krakow's help and pushed through for the victory. Yeah, great stuff. The Panzer IVs, of course, going to be able to take out a lot of my Churchills. That's mainly what you can see here, doing a lot of the damage. And of course the Rezhitsar, really, really scary AT gun. Make sure you target these when you see them. Otherwise they're going to do an absolute number on you. That's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.